Somalia charges 5 men for the truck bomb attack that killed over 500 in Mogadishu last October. The key to losing holiday kilos isn't a one-size-fits-all. And outside-the-box fitness regimens to help you stay in shape. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Somali prosecutors are charging 5 men in connection with October 14th truck bombing in Mogadishu that killed 512 people. 4 of the suspects appeared before a military tribunal in the capital on Monday, while the 5th defendant is on the run. Somali authorities say they have no doubt the radical Islamist group Al-Shabaab is behind the October attack, although the group did not claim responsibility. The court says hearing for the defendants will start late next week. The United Nations is calling on Democratic Republic of Congo President Joseph Kabila to keep his promise to step down amid protests throughout the country over delayed elections. The Secretary General is urging all Congolese political actors to remain fully committed to the December 31, 2016 political agreement, which called for Kabila to step down after elections. The delays in holding elections has triggered deadly civil unrest, prompting fears that Kabila may seek to extend his 17-year rule.
We're tired. We have never had peace in this country. Nothing works. We don't eat well. President Kabila is still young and he can leave this place to someone else and come back later if he wants. He has worked a lot already. It's enough. We don't want him. He should go and rest.
Well, Kabila has remained in office even though his second term officially expired in December 2016. Now, eyewitnesses in Egypt say bystanders and residents, and not police, may have prevented a big bloodbath during Friday's terror attack on Coptic Christians in Cairo. 9 people were killed when a gunman opened fire on a church and a nearby Christian-owned store. The witnesses told the Associated Press it is likely more would have died if worshippers at the Mary Mina Church and others in the neighborhood did not intervene. They say people inside the church slammed shut the heavy iron gate to stop the shooter from getting inside. Speaking before a large crowd in St. Peter's Square in Rome on Sunday, Pope Francis offered his condolences for the victims of the Cairo attack.
Cari fratelli e sorelle.
Dear brothers and sisters, I want to express my condolences to the Orthodox Coptic brothers of Egypt that 2 days ago were struck by 2 attacks, to a church and to a shop in the Cairo outskirts. May the Lord welcome the souls of the dead, sustain the wounded, their relatives and their entire community, and convert the hearts of the violent ones.
Well, the Islamic State is claiming responsibility for the attack and several other terrorist attacks on Coptic Christians last year in Egypt, resulting in the deaths of more than 100 people. The heads of mission of the United States, Britain and Norway in Juba on Tuesday called on parties in South Sudan's conflict to stop violating a ceasefire signed last month. The deal is aimed at ending a 4-year war between the government of President Salva Kiir and rebels in which tens of thousands of people have been killed. There have been 5 reported violations for which both sides are being blamed. The U.S., Britain, Norway form a group that supported the 2005 accord leading to the independence of South Sudan from Sudan. They have threatened to impose individual or group sanctions on those who violate the ceasefire. The ceasefire is also designed to allow humanitarian groups access to civilians caught in the fighting and revive a 2015 peace deal that collapsed in 2016 after heavy fighting erupted in Juba. Not too far from there, Sudanese refugees who fled fighting in Darfur are returning home from neighboring Central African Republic, where they have lived for the last 10 years. Conflict in Darfur began in 2003 when mainly non-Arab tribes took up arms against Sudan's Arab-led government. Up to 300,000 people were killed and millions have been displaced. About 3,500 Darfuris fled into CAR in 2007. Now 1,500 of them have been transported home as part of a United Nations Refugee Agency voluntary repatriation program that started last month. UNHCR says the security situation in Darfur is improving following a disarmament process and an ease in fighting after Sudan announced short-term truces in Blue Nile and Kordofan regions. Now, before becoming U.S. president, Donald Trump has been involved in a running feud with many of America's most influential media institutions, accusing them of spreading fake news about him. His comments have helped deepen the partisan divide among Americans about the trustworthiness of the news they receive, and it has had an impact in countries where the press is not free. VOA White House correspondent Peter Heinlein reports.
If you want to discover the source of the division in our country, look no further than the fake news and the crooked media, which would rather get ratings and clicks than tell the truth.
President Trump often hits back at coverage he doesn't like. He's used the term fake news in no fewer than 180 tweets since Inauguration Day, as well as in countless speeches, interviews, and comments. Press freedom activists say Trump's strategy is having an effect.
I mean, he's very eager to have Twitter, mainstream news organizations pick up his tweets and write about them and amplify them. So he is, in one regard, pretty sophisticated about this, in that he is he's using the very press that he is denigrating and is very sensitive to, and gets quickly irritated by anything he sees in the press that he's already decried as fake.
This is an apple.
Stung by the attacks on their integrity, major media outlets have come up with new slogans and ad campaigns like CNN's Apple to defend themselves. Press watchdog groups say authoritarian leaders are following Trump's lead.
We saw the term fake news being used in the Philippines, in Russia, in China, in Egypt, to justify their own repression of the media, their own attempts to delegitimize journalists. So we've also seen China saying, hey, the U.S. is finally waking up to what we've been saying this whole time about, the media being problematic. And that's not what we want to see around the world.
China's top cybersecurity official recently cited fake news to defend against a report ranking China last in the world in internet freedom.
Even countries like the United States and Europe, everyone's discussing it together, like with these new media, these fake news, rumors, this kind of raging problem. How should we deal with this? We are all facing this together.
The phenomenon is spreading. Syria's President Bashar al-Assad dismissed human rights reports about deaths in military prisons by saying, "We live in a fake news era." Authoritarian leaders from Thailand's Prayut Chan-o-cha to Cambodia's Hun Sen and Malaysia's Najib Razak have talked about fake news. Singapore is said to be considering a fake news law in the new year.
That has seemed to embolden those leaders in thinking that what they're doing is acceptable, that they can get away with it, that there won't be chastising on the part of the U.S. government.
Trump has welcomed several authoritarians to the White House. He hailed Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan as a friend, despite Turkey's reputation as the world's leading jailer of journalists. The Committee to Protect Journalists says the number of reporters jailed in 2017 hit an all-time high for the second year running. Peter Heinlein, VOA News, the White House.
Well, a new book just hit the bookstores in Europe and the U.S. that tries to show life in Africa beyond the stereotypes and misconceptions infused in Western media. Africa 54's Zoe Ludeke has the details.
Everyday Africa presents the large and small moments of life through the lens of 30 photographers. It started as an Instagram feed by two Americans, and now it belongs to a community of Africans across the continent.
In March of 2012, I was traveling with Austin Merrill, who's a writer. I'm a photojournalist primarily. And we had a grant from the Pulitzer Center to go to Ivory Coast and cover the aftermath of their civil war.
While we were there interviewing refugees and talking to soldiers and talking about the country trying to get past a war, we also knew that for the vast majority of the people around us, life was pretty normal, but that wasn't coming through in the story that we were putting together.
We were seeing all these other moments that were much sort of truer to our daily life experience in that part of the world.
While we were working, we started to take our cell phones out of our pockets and photograph what we saw around us. You know, pictures of people going to work or eating breakfast or hanging out with their friends, things that were just more normal everyday scenes, and we felt like there was really something to that, and that might be the most important thing we had to tell about that place at that moment instead of the crisis story.
It's quite difficult to really have a global understanding when all you see of other parts of the world are the very extreme stories. It's a way of just, you know, looking at what daily life looks like from many perspectives in this you know, massive continent.
This is how Everyday Africa was born, and it's still growing. It has over 360,000 followers on Instagram and a very active and engaged community of photographers repicturing the continent.
We've had lots of African photographers join, non-African photographers join, but we've also got some sort of skilled amateurs. In Cape Town, Barry Christensen is a computer programmer. Mahmoud Khattab in Cairo is just finished medical school. I think that there's something about that mix of people that strengthens the community and that makes the work better.
Everyday Africa, with the support of the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting, has also created media workshops that train middle school students in the United States on how to document their lives and recognize stereotypes.
I'm African, and I hear a lot of stereotypes about Africa that is not true.
The curriculum and the classroom visits uses the story of how we were created to engage the students in a discussion about how media representation affects them and their lives and their communities, and uses our photography to teach basic photography lessons to them, so that by the end of the workshop or school year or what have you, they have an everyday project for their own school or community.
But what's in focus in this picture? What's like sharply?
Their dream is for Instagram communities to be formed all over the world, documenting their everyday life. How about an everyday Asia, an everyday Greece, or an everyday Afghanistan? The publishing of the book, which is beautifully done, gives them the opportunity to access a different audience and to show an underrepresented side of African life to the world. Zoe Liudaki, VOA News, Washington.
And we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our show live on Facebook, so check us out and share our show with your friends also. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince McCory. Now coming up, it's official, weight loss regimens aren't one size fits all. Stay with us. Well, it's time now for our health report, and joining us now is Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Mudu with a look at the spread of cholera in Zambia. Hello, Lino.
Hello, Vincent. Well, Zambian President Edgar Lungu has ordered the country's military to help fight the spread of cholera. The cholera outbreak, which began in September, has killed 41 people in the nation's capital and made more than 1,500 others sick. Officials reported that the outbreak was initially confined to densely populated parts of Lusaka, where poor sanitation can aid its transmission. But the disease has now spread to low-density areas. Government officials have stated that all markets, bars, restaurants, and other public places that pose a risk of further transmission be closed until they meet hygiene standards.
Defense forces in peacetime are therefore required to join an effort like that in the face of the epidemic. So certain steps have been taken within selected places of Lusaka where these emergency measures will be implemented.
Cholera is spread by ingesting fecal matter and causes acute watery diarrhea. It can be treated with oral rehydration solution, but the disease spreads rapidly and can kill within hours if not treated. Early detection of breast cancer saves lives. Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women worldwide. As VOA's Carol Pearson reports, scientists are working on finding new ways to detect the disease while they are studying existing screening methods to find out what is best.
During a mammogram, a technician takes an X-ray of a woman's breast. A radiologist then examines the image for tumors. Mammograms undoubtedly save lives. The number of deaths from breast cancer has fallen by 30% in the U.S. since mammography was introduced in the 1970s. That's because when cancer is found early, the chances of beating it are greater. Mammograms are the best screening tools available, but they aren't 100% accurate. A mammogram can look normal even when cancer is present, and it can look abnormal even though there's no cancer in the breast. Standard mammograms are two-dimensional, but for the 40 to 50% of women with dense breasts, both tumors and breast tissue can show up as white masses on 2D images. Three-dimensional mammograms show a more detailed view of the breast. Women with fibrous or dense breast may benefit from a 3D screening.
It might find disease that we need to find that two-dimensional does not. There are potential cons in that it has a higher cost, higher amount of radiation given every dose, every time a person has the test, as well as it may find a higher number of false positives.
Cost aside, one study involving 13 U.S. hospitals showed that three-dimensional mammograms picked up an additional 40% of invasive cancers. For an even better picture, a woman could have an automated whole-breast ultrasound.
This is a new screening technique. It helps detect additional breast cancers in females who have got dense breasts.
The whole breast ultrasound doesn't use radiation, and it takes up to 5,000 images of the breast.
This tool does not replace the traditional mammogram. Mammograms are the gold standard for finding breast cancer. This helps the mammogram in those females who have got dense breasts.
Studies are underway to find out which techniques are the most effective. While North America, Western Europe, and Australia have the highest rates of breast cancer, the World Health Organization reports that almost 50% of the cases and nearly 60% of the deaths occur in less developed countries. If we could improve detection and treatment, at least 400,000 women's lives could be saved every year. Carol Pearson, VOA News, Washington.
For years, nutritionists have tried to develop a diet that will guarantee weight loss without fail. Mass production of low-fat or no-fat food varieties has not helped reduce the obesity problem in the United States, and various diets have worked for some people, but not for others. Now, some scientists say there is no one-size-fits-all solution for weight loss, and that only personalized diets work. VOA's Latika Hook has more.
It's holiday season and tables abound with tempting festive dishes. People around the world indulge in more food and drink than they need during celebrations, and the result is increased body weight. Once the holidays are over, there is a struggle to shed those extra kilograms. Dieting does not always work, and scientists now say it's because no regimen works the same for everyone.
For years we've been trying to search for that a silver bullet diet that would work for everybody, and we've been miserably failing. And that's because the best diet for each person really has to be tailored to that individual.
Israeli researchers Aaron Siegel and Aaron Elinov say the key to losing weight is keeping blood sugar levels low. Too much sugar in one's blood gets stored as fat. The two scientists have measured blood sugar levels in about 800 people after every meal for a week.
What we were really surprised to find is that different people react very uniquely even when they eat the same exact food.
Food that created a healthy response in some individuals caused an unhealthy increase of blood sugar in others. People reacted very differently to bread, for example.
What we were surprised to find out was just like any other food, there is no such thing as a good bread. The response to bread was completely individualized.
Adding fat to bread like butter, oil, or avocado can help normalize blood sugar in some individuals, but not all. Meat and cheese are least likely to cause blood sugar spikes. But a diet without carbohydrates is not sustainable. The Israeli researchers say the best solution is finding out which carbohydrates are safe to be incorporated in an individual's diet. It requires pricking a finger for a drop of blood to measure sugar levels after each meal for a while. But the pain may well be worth it. Zlarica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
Some helpful tips there for that weight loss New Year's resolution. Well, that's our health report for today. To stay in touch, find me on Twitter at Lenore Moudou. Back to you, Vincent.
Well, thanks a lot, Lenore. Now be sure to watch Lenore Moudou's health reports every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Africa 54. And it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, making those New Year resolutions stick with novel workouts. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Now, do you want to drop a few pounds in 2018? Now, there are novel ways to get leaner, fitter, and detox. The body-conscious men and women of Los Angeles have turned Bollywood dance into the city's latest fitness craze. Staying in Los Angeles at the No Limits training facility, there are something for everyone, whether you prefer the steam pump atmosphere of the weights room or climbing outside in the Californian sun. Meanwhile, at a yoga class in Massachusetts, once you've perfected your downward dog, there is a jumping goat to contend with. It's becoming an increasingly popular trend in the U.S. to release these frisky animals into yoga studios. Why? Well, now the goats relax participants with cuddles and fun. Meanwhile, in chillier fitness news, forget snowmobiles or skis. The latest way to explore frozen Arctic landscapes is by bicycling. This is a fat one. A trend for so-called fat biking has spread to the frozen forest of Finnish Lapland, becoming a hit with thrill-seeking winter tourists. The fat tires that give the sport its name are designed for low ground pressure, allowing riders to conquer soft and stable terrain such as snow and sand. This 2-hour, 8-kilometer trek includes scenic views of sprawling forest on the edge of the Arctic Circle. Well, and finally, treating your body like a temple and fancying a stiff martini don't usually mix, but it's the heady botanicals in gin which has prompted one spa owner to marry the two. Gin Spy is perfect cocktail, and it's open just in time for the Scotland's all-important New Year celebrations. Now, according to its owner, Gin Spy is one of a kind and the first to make gin with the flavors of berries, nuts, and citrus fruits into a body rub as well as a tasted drink. This Spy relies on spirit distilled by craftsmen using locally sourced ingredients. Distillers across Scotland are hoping their craft gins will lift spirits across the country and offer a whole new experience in the spa. And that's what's trending today. Now, January is here, and the world is bracing for the unofficial opening of this year's Race for Hearts, Minds, and Pockets of Tech Enthusiasts. Now, the International Consumer Electronics Show is the venue where technology manufacturers from giants to startups show their products, hoping they will become among the next must-haves worldwide. Viewers, George Putich looks at what may be expected.
Year after year, the Las Vegas Consumer Electronics Show has been breaking records. Last January, more than 4,000 companies exhibited their products, attracting more than 180,000 industry professionals. Not surprising, because at CES, they can see almost everything that matters in the tech world.
In 2018, we're seeing more and more with robotics, artificial intelligence, devices which help us stay healthy and predict whether or not we're going to get sick or what kind of treatment we should have. We're seeing a tremendous movement to self-driving vehicles, and we're also, the Internet of Things really does overlay everything, is devices that can talk and with artificial intelligence learn about us, learn what we do, learn how they can help serve us.
Professionals say they expect further developments in smaller entertainment robots, as well as large service machines intended for hotel lobbies, airports, and other public places.
We're working with malls, and now we have the other smaller robots that will be going into franchises where it can take a credit card swipe and kind of assist in the order processing at franchises and food franchises.
Alexa. Personal assistants, or smart speakers, have been gaining popularity, so CES 2018 may bring a range of new devices that respond to voice commands and perform various tasks. As cities are increasing their fight against pollution, while batteries are getting better and cheaper, all kinds of personal transportation, such as electric scooters, skateboards, and bikes, may be on display.
You lean, and the cycle board follows and steers in the direction that you lean, so your body mass is always on the correct side.
Schools, businesses, and even private homes around the world now use 3D printers to manufacture models, prototypes, and marketable products.
It is around 4 to 6 times faster than a normal 3D printer.
In the smart home department, expect a range of new refrigerators, dishwashers, robotic vacuum cleaners, window cleaners, even new models of toilet seats.
And the beauty of that is not only when they're in the home, but also anywhere they are, they can access it remotely.
Attraction and affordability of virtual reality headsets is on the rise, so some surprises are to be expected, while drone enthusiasts will undoubtedly be delighted with new models. CES 2018 opens January 8th, so stay tuned. George Putich, VOA News.
And that's our show for today. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Today's episode won't cost you anything.
Freebie.
Let's see what this one is about.
Anna, I love my job.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
I get so many freebies from the bands I write about. CDs, t-shirts, water bottles, even tickets to see them perform.
Wow. The only freebie I ever got from my